Hi there, I'm Josh Shideler, Public Information Officer for Houston TranStar. Welcome to Talk Traffic to Me, a fun series of interview-style videos we're doing where we answer questions about traffic in the area and share some behind-the-scenes information from TranStar about Houston TranStar and about our partner organizations. Every single video that we do will feature a different guest host, someone who does great work for the residents in our region. And for our very first ever episode, we've asked Mr. Jeff Lindner, meteorologist with the Harris County Flood Control District, to join us. Jeff, thank you for being here and for your time.
Absolutely. Hey, Josh. And, it's a great partnership between the Flood Control District and TranStar. And so, one of the first questions that a lot of people have is how does TranStar warn of dangerous roadway conditions?
Yeah, that's a good question. So everything we do here on the traffic and transportation side of things is in effort to keep the TranStar traffic map green. So for folks at home who know what the TranStar map is, if you see the color green, that means traffic is moving quickly, which we want. We monitor traffic incidents and really our whole freeway system with more than 1,000 closed circuit television cameras, Jeff. And quick sidebar on that, not a single one of those record. We get calls daily with folks asking for recorded footage because they need to submit information to their insurance companies, but not a single one records. So some interesting information. But we're constantly pushing information out via our website and our mobile application, social media platforms about real-time road conditions, where the sticky spots are on the roads, trying to give folks as much information as they can to make good decisions before they hit the road. One of the neat projects that we're doing now, Jeff, is warning folks about local streets that are likely to be flooding during heavy rainfall. And we do that with our roadway flood warning system. That's a tool that simply would not have come to be if it weren't for you and our partnership with the Flood Control District. But we have overlaid really good rainfall sensor data information that you guys have provided on top of the TranStar traffic map. And because of that, we're warning folks about roads that are likely to be flooding during heavy rain events. So that's another, example of a great partnership.
Yeah, and like I said, we're certainly more than happy to work with TranStar and getting that information out to the citizens of not only Harris County but the region. Keeping with the idea of weather and flooding and notifications, we're going into the winter season here, and occasionally we do have an ice storm down here, maybe even a little bit of snow. So, a question is how do y'all prepare and how do you warn motorists of potential for ice, especially on those bridges and overpasses?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I know we don't get a whole lot of snow, which is a great disappointment to my wife, who's from New Jersey and loves her snow and cold winter months. But something that we do have a lot of is roadway, bridges, elevated roads, overpasses, like you mentioned. And these are roadways that are vulnerable to freezing conditions. When we get to 32 degrees and below, those are roads that can be dangerous to travel on. Actually, Jeff, since you're here, can you talk to us a little bit about why that's the case, why bridges and overpasses and elevated roads are more vulnerable to freezing conditions?
Yeah, so you always hear it down here is watch for the icy patches on the bridges and the overpasses. You hear it time and time, especially those really high connector ramps. And the simple answer is that the earth puts off heat. So those roadways that are flat on the ground, they get heat from below from the earth, and they can stay a little bit warmer. And those elevated roadways, that freezing air aloft gets under those and they can cool the temperature. So, we have a lot of sensors. TxDOT has a lot of sensors to monitor those temperatures of those elevated roadways. And usually it has to get 32 or below to start to see that ice development on those elevated surfaces.
That makes sense. Yeah, I know our TxDOT partners can work long hours in the winter months, pre-treating roads or de-icing roads. And all the while, we here at TranStar are doing our best to push real-time information to travelers to make sure that they're informed of what they can anticipate on the roads. Jeff, I think we've got 1 or 2 minutes more. Any last question you'd like to ask before we part?
Yeah, I have a question, and I think a lot of people, I hear this a lot of times out there when you're traveling around. It's about the dynamic message signs, those signs you see along the highway that have the travel times. and other messages on it. And I'm just curious, who puts information on those signs, and how does that all work? Because, you see a lot of different information now on those signs.
Yeah, that's a great question. Those signs do a lot of good for travelers in our region. Our TxDOT partners have installed somewhere in the ballpark of 260 DMS signs or dynamic message signs along freeways in the TxDOT Houston district. The Harris County Toll Road Authority has installed 10 or so signs along toll road right of way. But you hit the nail on the head. They communicate travel time information, which is updated every 2 minutes using Bluetooth reader technology. And that's the same tech that powers or updates the TranStar speed map. Incident or crash related information, construction information, information about events happening around town. So for the rodeo in March, or I guess May of this next year, communicating information to patrons about where they can park, road safety information, sometimes funny messages that you'll see on the roads, and then occasionally amber alerts and silver alerts as well. Now, the thing about that, Jeff, is those are oftentimes statewide messages, and they are issued by the Department of Public Safety. So by law, our internal partners at TranStar who deploy the messages to the signs, they've got to keep those amber alerts and silver alerts up for the duration that DPS designates. But yeah, all of that happens here at TranStar, and like I said, it's a really great tool for motorists and travelers in the region. Jeff, in an effort to keep these videos kind of short for social media purposes, it's about all the time we have today, but I want to give you a chance to tell folks what social media platforms they can follow when it comes to the flood control district, or tools that they can be aware of that you'd like to talk about before we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Our biggest tool and information push is through our flood warning system, the harriscountyfws.org, which is what y'all tie into on the TransStar roadway side of things. Our Twitter and Facebook platforms, and also we do post a few messages on Nextdoor. So those are the ways we get out information during heavy rainfall and flooding. And you can also sign up for alerts on that flood warning website. So I encourage people to go to that and make sure that you're aware of what's going on.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And for us as well, we're really active on social media. We encourage folks to give us a follow on our platforms. Bookmark the Houston TranStar real-time traffic map. Check it before you leave the office, before you hit the road, and give our mobile app a download as well, free for iPhone and Android devices. Jeff, thank you again for joining us. Really, I appreciate your time so much. And for folks at home, tune in to our next episode, which will come out next month.